Hey, it's Karen from Liongate Farm, and today I'm going to teach you how to make this cute little otter. So today we're going to make this cute little otter. And if you want to make, this guy's holding a heart. If you want to make him holding a baby otter, you are welcome to it. Just shrink what we're going to do. So this guy uses some colors, some different colors. You're going to need coral, definitely. And I have just a bit of white here. The white goes right there. And this is a little bit of Bergschaf, which is something new. I'm going to show you that. And then this dark color that we're using on him is called Tornado. Tornado. And Fog. I think I'm probably going to use Fog on the guy I do right now. And then Squirrel. This squirrel color is really good for his belly. And then Black. And then Whiskers. I'm going to show you a trick. I use this is like a 99-cent paintbrush, and you just cut the little bristles off. That's what I use for my whiskers when I do little whiskers, and then just a little dab of glue. So we're going to do that. You're going to need 16 gauge wire. You're going to need a piece that is 12 inches, and then 2 6 inches. We'll give you his arms and legs. I also want to show you this book. Somebody recently showed me this book. So I wasn't familiar with otters very much. And when I'm not familiar with an animal, I go looking. So this book is kind of cool because they have all different ones, but this is mammals. So it has your skeleton and your feet. Like if you want to get really technical with their feet, which we're not going to do because he's just a cute little guy. But it shows you kind of their skull and their shape and their tail. It's kind of a cool book to have. I got it on Amazon, Morpho, Mammals, Anatomy for Artists. It really helps you get an idea of the animal and the scale of what you're looking at. So, plug for this book on Amazon is where I got it. I probably can find it at a used bookstore too. But I used that when I was trying to figure out the skeleton or how I'm going to do the wire for this guy. So nose is a little shorter than what I'm used to making. He's got tiny little ears. I will have a JPEG uploaded to the Liongate Farm Southern Oregon Fiber Art Facebook group. And when you go look for my JPEGs, just search like otter or search elephant or whatever you're looking for in there. Oh, and this is Violet. I think this is Violet DHG that I made the hearts out of, if you're wondering. So let's get started. And first we're going to build the body. So you know I always have one kind of going so I can show you what we're going for. This is what we're going to go for. So you're going to take that 12-inch, piece, and you're going to do a 2-inch bend. So take your ruler, measure 2-inch bend. Just do this. And you know, the only reason I do this is so that I don't have wires sticking out. And then a 1-inch bend. This end ends up, and then I twist it. You can use pliers. I usually just twist it. Remember, I got stronger hands than most, or at least I used to, before I broke my neck. Still can do these pretty good. Kenan went in the other room, or I'd have him get me some pliers. All right, so we have this little wire, right? And if you're working with my JPEG, here's what we're going to do. We're going to bend this much. And see there, oh wow, look at that, it's perfect. All right, so that is basically our body shape. And you know, when you're working on these things, they get out of shape. So we're going to take a piece of core wool. Oh yeah, I'm back in stock in core wool, you guys. The awesome core wool, $1 an ounce. Yes, that's $1 1 ounce. I have a lot of it. This time I will order sooner. So this guy has a flat face, but he still has this little round area here. So we're going to hold our finger here. We're going to wrap up You don't need any sticky stuff. We're just going to wrap up this wire. And then, because we want to fill this hole in, we're going to, well, you see what I did? I got to the end. And now I'm going to wrap it back around the back of where the head is. Now I'm going to go over the nose again. Back around the back of the head. I'm going to do this a couple times. And then, so probably 3 times. Then I'm going to finish it down here and give it a couple stabs with my pen tool. And I'm going to take my single needle. Boy, that was not a very good example, was it? All right. So what we end up with is a flat area where the chin, the bottom of the head's going to be. And then we're going to do this. Now remember, we don't want that wire right in the front here, but we got it. All right, so see, we're getting this little flat head. Let's build it up a little bit more. And if your wire gets out of shape, you just go back over to your JPEG, your picture, put it back on there. So I am actually going to get really tight right here. Remember, the tighter you wrap, the less you got to poke. And you know, I know my otter is not going to be totally correct. So if you want like a more realistic otter, mine's going to end up whimsical. I just know this to be true. If you want it to be more whimsical, you're going to need to pull up some pictures. I said that wrong. If you're going to want it to be more realistic, you're going to need to pull up some pictures and kind of look at them. Took me a little while to decide if I wanted to do real fingers or just little paw looking things. So I'm going to poke this a little bit and start to form it down here along the neck. So this head ends up being pretty firm by the time I'm done with it. Southern Oregon is being Southern Oregon weather this week. We went from 70s and gorgeous back to rain. It's raining again. It's spring. What can we say? What can we say? Rip had a herding clinic this week. My Rip dog can herd. He does have the ability. So he's going to start going to class so he can be my right-hand man, which is what I need him to be since I can't do it anymore. All right, so I'm going to wrap a little bit here around the head area. This is going to end up being his nose. Right now it just looks like a blob. It's so funny how they all just look like blobs to begin with. I want you to think about his face while you're doing this. You can see he is just like a little head. I should give you some measurements and that might help you. So his nose ends up about 7/8 of an inch. His head ends up about 1 3/4 inches. So let's see where we're at. We're just about there. Don't want to make it all the way yet because once we add that other color, it'll get bigger. It's still kind of a triangle. It's a wide triangle at the base. We didn't have a video last week because Cannon was sick. I thought he was just out enjoying the weather, but nope. Which that makes it worse that we have 75-degree weather and he was sick. So you can see his little head starting to form here. Let's take some more core wool, and now we're going to wrap down. All right, let me show you where we're at. You can see we're starting to get there already. It's kind of fast, kind of not fast. So here we're going to wrap down about an inch, and then you're going to start getting fatter, because we need this part is right in here to be pretty fat. If you want, you can take a shortcut. So we need that belly, right? We're going to make a little roll. There's a little shortcut. I'm just attaching it. Just attaching his little, giving him a little belly down to about there. It's always hard to make an animal when you haven't had a lot of contact with one. At least it is for me. So we're stretching my imagination here. This is like the #1 request. Make an otter, make an otter. We got sea turtles somebody wants to make. And you know, I say wrap tighter, but I didn't. So now we're going to have to poke for a minute. So we just need a belly right here. They're kind of sleek little guys. Notice I keep going back up and just smoothing everything into each other. Still gonna pull this pretty tight. So if you wrap and it's really loose, if your next wrap is pretty tight, it should bring everything together. Notice I'm not wrapping down to his tail, because we're just going to do the tail with the body color. Now the other thing, well, we're not quite there yet, so let's just make his body. I'm still working on getting his belly fat. I'm just going to make a little pillow, and I'm going to put it right here. Don't want to do that right there. That's going to serve two purposes. It's going to make his little belly, and it will make his legs, his haunches. So his foot will end up coming up right here and right here. We have a little haunch right there. And we have his belly line. So what you're aiming for, see, this guy's pretty firm, not super firm, smushy. So I have a haunch and a haunch. And then I have the belly line that happens. And then I have his head. You can see we can make him, you actually can make this guy stand up if you wanted to, with his arms forward, because they do stand up. Although how we always see them is in the wild on their backs with stuff on their belly. So if you want them to lay down, which is what we want, this has to be somewhat flattened back here. So your guy will sit, and then the tail's going to help hold him, so he'll sit. And I know I've said this before, but don't count on your felting pad to be level. After using them for a while, they get uneven. So if you're testing them to see if they'll stand, you probably want to do it on the table itself. This is a pretty easy guy. It's just getting the shape of his face right and getting him so he'll sit on the table here. Okay, I can see him starting to come together. He's pretty narrow up here. Switching to the single needle. Remember, as you felt, your needle pushes the wool the way you are telling it to go. You're in control. Sometimes it seems like the wool's in control. He needs a little bit more around here. So we're just going to build this up a little bit. It'll also so there's this little belly happening. The belly line is like in line with his head, the side of his head. You know, normally we're all about shapes and adding this and adding that. Not this time. This time we're just going to sculpt our little piece of wool into an otter. The wire was our guide. So once you get this far, you can slide your wires in for your arms and legs. And about 3/4 of an inch down the middle of the body, you're going to take your skewer like we always do. I couldn't find my wires. And then take your arm wire, follow that skewer. Okay, and then your feet, we know your feet are going to go right there. Same thing. If you felted this too hard, this is not easy. And see there, I didn't get through on the first time, so I'm coming through again. Follow the skewer, and we're in. All right, find center. Find center. There's his little feet. And the arms end up, find center. Kind of find center. Arms end up like 1.5 inches. I eyeballed that second one. And then you're just going to twist them a little bit. I wouldn't twist them yet though, because we want to add the color. So now you're going to just felt around this body till it's nice and firm. And then we're going to come back and we are going to start with our body color. So we're going to felt away until he's a nice firm little guy. Up in his neck area, all in here. Make sure he can be flat on the table. And then we'll come back and start with our colors. Okay, so you've been poking around a lot. You've got your wires in. You got your head ready. And your guy will sit on the table. So now we are ready for some color. So whatever color you're going to make his body, you want to take a little piece off of that. And we're going to do some arms and feet first. I just tore a little piece off and I'm attaching it to his body along the belly line there that we made. And I'm going to wrap. Not remember what I said about wrap. So I undid his arm wire so that I can go around and I can bend it. The reason I do it that way, remember, always wrap same direction. Oops, remember what I said? Ooh, let it go. See how to twist. Don't want the twist that makes lumpies. Lumpy. And I'm going back down. And since I know this is his body color, I'm just going to let it feed into the body. Stab it a little bit. Don't have to stab his arm too much because I wrapped it tight. So let's go back. So something I noticed, so I always have like some of these pre-made, you guys, so we can go faster. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I used 18 gauge in these wires for these arms, and they are much easier to bend. So you might want to switch to 18 gauge, but 16 gauge works. 16 gauge will work. They'll just be stronger. So we just gone back and I'm wrapping around that bend. Don't let your fiber twist. Whoops. See what happens? You don't want that to show. So make sure that is nice and covered. And then I need to go this way, going down, attach it to the body. This arm is a little fatter than that arm, but I am not going to worry about that. We're going to put a little color on him. Then we come down to our little feeties. Little feeties. Same thing. And I'm going to wrap. You guys should be getting pretty good at this wrapping stuff now that you all did all the frogs and the frog toes. And I have a question for you all, because I'm game if everybody else is game. So I made these mice using cosplay for their feet and their hands and their tail. Cosplay is kind of cool. You make it and you form it on the wire, then you bake it, kind of like Fimo clay, but cosplay is fun because it stays flexible. So you get this mouse tail you can bend. So there, I got a little foot. Let's make another foot. So if you guys are game, tell me in the comments if you want to make a mouse like that, and we can go through the steps, but you're going to need to order your cosplay. Again, Amazon is my favorite place. It's not super cheap. It's like 14 bucks or something like that. It comes in a couple colors. I use like the flesh color. It's kind of fun. And you can paint it. So that's why I just ordered the flesh color. I think I have black too. I have some black. So otters have little webbed feet. So we might make them a little bit fatter at the end. You don't have to. They're just cute little feet because this is just a cute little guy. I mean, he's pretty small to be making lots of details. I just poked myself. Pokes happen, you guys. I have so many calluses along my fingers that they don't normally bleed, but what usually happens is I'll poke myself somewhere I have never been poked before, and that's when it hurts. Okay, so got our little feet on, little arms. You can already see how cute he is, right? Okay, so now instead, you're thinking, oh, she's gonna put this color on. I'm not. I'm gonna put this belly on first, and I'm gonna do it with, this is Bergschaft Roving. You can see it's a little bit different color than my core. It's got a different staple to it. It's something new for me, and I will have it on the website soon because I have a lot of it. And it likes to be dyed, so I'm going to be making some Felters packs with it. And by Felters packs, see what I did? I made a stack. Now I'm mixing it with the squirrel color. You can do this on your dog brush. If you don't have a dog brush, you can just use your fingers. I can't reach mine, but that's okay. I'm just showing you this way. So basically what I'm doing is lightening up this squirrel color just a little bit. Oh my, it's raining hard, isn't it, Cannon? So I've got this light squirrely color, and I'm just going to start up in here. Put this in here. You don't have to put your whole piece in here like I do. I just like building it in. I know it's going to come down his tail. If you want, you can have it go out the arms. Now let's just get this all felted in. The reason I put this on first is because then any top color coat I put on, so there's his little belly. So now we're going to take, we know he has a little haunch right here, right? Just remember, we built it up just a little bit. That's going to feed down into his tail. I was looking at so many pictures of otters. Some of them have white heads. Some of them are all gray. Some of them are dark gray. Some of them are black. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm just going to make a couple colors. See what happens. So that's where I was at with this. So you can see I'm starting to sculpt in his little haunch there, which comes down over his foot. It's another view of it you can see. We're just going to take another little piece on this side. Just fold it in half. Make them kind of even. Don't like that. I can see my wire right there, so I was going to poke a little bit. Like I said, you guys got to look at a zillion pictures. All right, to work his tail, it's easiest to straighten it out. Let's put a little bit of color here on his back. So that's what we need to do, is color his tail. You could go, so we have some of this brown coming down. You can take your time and go this way. You could go this way. However your wool's working for you. See which will give you the most work smarter, not harder method. You don't want this tail built up too much. So be mindful of how thick it is when you put it on. It's weird, they have very skinny tailbones, but they kind of have fat tails. So I imagine that's for swimming. And this is whimsical anyways, right? Right. They have the tiniest little ears. And I know y'all hate that I make you wait and do the face last. Okay, a couple weeks ago we asked what your favorite Easter candy was, and I think the resounding winner was the Reese's Eggs. Right, Cannon? Yeah. Yes. But you know what? I tried one. I still, because you guys said they were good, so I tried one. I still like Cadbury mini eggs better. The mini eggs, the little tiny ones. Not because they're just chocolate with candy coating. So just so you know, I did listen to you guys. It's just like a giant Reese's is what it is. Are they your favorite too?
They're pretty good.
Okay.
I did agree with the majority.
Not the gooey Cadbury eggs. The mini eggs.
Yeah, they're like malted, right?
No, they're just chocolate.
Oh, okay.
They're kind of like...
I know which ones you're talking about. Those are good.
They're kind of like advanced M&Ms.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's just good. So we have our live sale coming up this week. We are at Friday at 6 o'clock. Tune in to the Liongate Farm Facebook page. Always at the end of the month. You can find us on Friday or Saturday. We don't do Sundays. It's too hard for us to do Sundays. So we do Friday or Saturday for half an hour, and you get the first crack at all the new stuff before it goes to the website. If it makes it to the website. The last couple sales, you guys have gone crazy on me. And I'm still trying to catch up. All right, so we have the little tail done. See how cute that is. Got his little feet. Now we're going to cover his back. He's like, yay. Okay, let's do his back. So on the head, I kind of two-toned his head. 3. because we have white. And then we have some squirrel color with some gray mixed in and some gray. So it's going to be up to you how you do this. I might go darker. I don't know. Let me see here. First, I want to cover his back. Just going to add that on. And you see, I'm not going super thick because the gray that I'm using has it's blotchy. It's kind of cool. Yeah, this one I think is Fog. Tornado's the darker one. So when you get up here around his little arms, I want you to start to sculpt in a little shoulder. You're going to do that just around this. Just sculpt that little arm in there. That's going to help hold the wire where it is. And then we'll do it on this side. This needs a little bit more of this. So if you're ordering or you're wanting to know quantities, I'm not using more than 1/4 ounce of any color. Maybe 1/2 ounce of coral. Maybe. Because this guy's pretty small. Remember, we want this back kind of flat, so he'll sit on the table. You could make him hold a clam. They like clams. Or an oyster. I'm going to test. See how good he's doing there. Okay. Otters are smooth, so I'm extra felting here. Get him nice and smooth. All right, let's start working on his little head. So when we look at this, his eye is going to go there. His other eye is going to go there. And their nose is like a diamond. It's kind of interesting, but I don't want you to think about that top part right now. I want you to draw across a line. Don't think about that diamond right now. You know how we always just draw our regular little, this face is flat compared to what we normally do. And if you went past your wire enough, I got a little bit right there. You're just kind of getting your shape. I'm going to take a little tiny bit of white and make a little puff. Put it across. Because I have that wire sticking out. Well, I can feel the wire, and I don't want to. But I also want this part to be white. That's just my undercoating of white. I'm going to put some more in a minute. I got a little piece of something in there. You know, they say never use your needles as a tool. You know, they say it, but we all do it. All right, so now I'm going to take a little piece of the squirrel right here, and I am going to start my coloring book. I'm going to start coloring. And I went, so we know where the eyes are. I went all the way up between his eyes. I know where that is. That's where his nose is going to go. Kind of, remember, you poked where your eyes are. So this is where you have to be a little bit intuitive to get this face right. It kind of looks like a beaver. Not just for fun, because I need to see what I'm doing. I'm going to put his nose on. I'm going to start by going across. They have big noses. So we know that that's his nose. And then we're going to go down. But I'm going to go up high. So see, I kind of made a diamond here. I just kind of drew a little diamond on his face with the black. This is not a race. Go nice and slow. And then this extra is going to come down here. I'm going to go under. Let's get this all like that. Okay, so we know where his mouth is going to be. Dude, get your hands out of the way. All right. So, if you look at this, this guy has a way fatter head because we're going to build that up now. Okay, so now I think I'm going to use a darker color. We'll see what happens. I'm going to take some of this tornado. I just want to make this head darker. And I'm just going to add it to the side of his head. Because I know that I need a little bit of the build up on this side. I'm going to let it naturally go down there to that side. And we're going to do some tornado on this side. We have his little jowls there. So basically I'm just building up the side of his head. I know, he looks kind of silly right now, doesn't he? But that instantly made his head a little bit wider. I want some in the back. And now I'm going to take the lighter color and go over the top of this color. Just to give it some depth is why I put that dark color underneath. It'd be really easy to turn this into a beaver. Remember where your eyes were. I keep poking them in just so I know. I'm going to add the lighter color over here again. But we're starting to see his little head take shape. Now he needs a little tiny chin. Tiny. I'm going to do that out of white. Okay, before I put his chin, I want to put his eyeballs in. They have tiny little black eyes. Just take a little bit of your raven black and poke it in there. on either side. And what you should see happen, because we've been poking it in, this part of his nose should be taller than where his eyes are. First one I did, I put his ears on and I put him in the wrong place. And I'm like, what is wrong with this little otter? And I had to look and look and look. Finally I realized, oh, your ears are in the wrong place. Their ears are actually next to their eyes. Instead of, normally they're up here, but they're over here. First, let's give him a little chin. So we need a little bit of white. I'm gonna make a little tiny ghost. Tiny. Remember, stab your little ghost shape. Fold in your edges. Add a little tiny bit of bulk. Just a little tiny chin. So we have this little teeny spot. Let's give him a little chin right here. Let this white carry down into his chest. Don't do very much. I mean, it's not a huge amount. And if you think that look at that cute little face. If you think that that's too much, you can always pull some off. What I'm doing right now is gathering up my black fibers so that they don't contaminate my white. And I'm flattening this some more. Now, you know how I did this in white. I'm going to take some bergschaf here, this stuff, and I'm going to stack it. This is a pretty short fiber. Then I'm going to come back to his face, stab this on, fold it over. I'm going to leave it a little fuzzy. So if you don't know, bergschaf is a breed of sheep, and it's coarser than my blueface for sure. It makes it great for felting. And so when you buy like DHG, Maori bergschaf in bats, that's what this is, only this is in roving form. So it's kind of cool stuff. I was kind of excited to get it. It felts down pretty smooth, but it also can be hairy, which is what we're using it for right here, because it has little guard hairs. So then he has a fuzzy little face. Always look, try and make him symmetrical. Now we gotta make some tiny little ears. I almost said something bad. Let's make them the same as the body color. Maybe I'm gonna mix it with some of the darker tornado. So I have this little tiny bit. I'm gonna mix. This is a very small amount, but I'm gonna mix it and then I'm gonna split it in half. These are tiny little ears. And you're gonna draw 2 little tiny ears. These are the smallest ears you ever made. Remember, fold all the extra in. By tiny, these are like 1/4 inch. At least on my guy. You can hardly see their ears. Rip just decided it's dinner time. He's gonna go bug John. Just keep flipping them back and forth. They're very small. They're smaller than, they're like the size of your little fingernail. Very, very small. And then you know what I'm going to say next. Now we're going to fold them in half, even as small as they are. That's why I said if you want to make one of these holding a baby, more power to you. But that's really small felting. All right, so I've got this tiny little ear. Folded it in half and I stabbed it once. And it's going to go right there. And we're going to felt it onto the back of the head. Using that leftover fringe. And see, that's even a little bit too big. So then, if it still seems big, you're going to stab it into your head till it's this dinky little ear. This one needs a little bit more work. Notice when I'm stabbing this small thing, I'm not hardly going into my wool pad at all. I'm just in the fiber. You know, your wool pad is really there just to protect your surface or your lap. I'm going to fold it in half. I know you probably cannot see what I'm doing. Fold it in half, stab it. Tiny little ear. That one's going to go right there, next to his eyeball. I tend to work the fringe on first and then go back and say, okay. It's almost like it's a little kitten ear. Oh my gosh, we have this wild cat running around here that has no ears. He's the weirdest looking cat I've ever seen. He has made his home in my hay barn, which is fine. I think it's a he. I am not sure. Make sure your eyes are kind of round. It's kind of an ugly cat. It's long-haired, gray. Can stay. I have no rodents in my hay barn, so he can stay in there. I don't know where it came from. Let's see. Let's compare how to do on my second ever otter. Not too bad. Not too bad. Now, I think I want a little bit more up here. They have like they're a little flat round head. So I'm going to add just a little bit. Let this fringe go down in there. Part of why I don't like him, I think, is because he has too much light color around this eyeball. You know, I brought this brown with me. I was going to see what it would do. Oh, it's too much. Just add a little shading on its nose. You know, dig in your stash for shading colors. Like I said, these guys come in so many different colors. but you can make them what you want. If you felt sideways, it's going to blend the colors that you have. Still not liking this, so I'm going to add a little bit more of the squirrel color on top of that brown. There we go. You can add too much. I've done it before. I was felting something not too long ago. Oh, a sheep. I had to cut his head off. Or cut off his bottom jaw because I didn't like it with scissors. Everybody's like, what are you doing? I'm like, fixing the sheep. It's not right. So there is our little otter. He's got his little feet. He's got his little hands. You can give him a little heart or whatever you want to give him. You could give him a flower, a clam, whatever. Isn't he cute? He isn't going to stand up here. Ooh, maybe I need to make him flatter. To make sure he stands up the way you want him. And again, if you wanted him to stand, you just have to rearrange him. But I like mine like they're in the water. There you have it. One little otter. I forgot to tell you. All right, so if you want to add whiskers like I did on this guy, can you see them, Cannon?
Yes.
Okay, see these little whiskers? All you do is you're going to take your scissors and cut some of these off. Use tweezers. Use tweezers. Like make a little pile on the table, make a little drop of super glue on a paper and just stick them on here. And that will give him his nice little furry face like they have. They have a lot of whiskers. So the more you put on, the better. I didn't put too many on this guy. Just put like 5 or 6. But this is what I use. Just this 99-cent paintbrush. Thanks for joining us today while we made these cute little otters. Remember to post yours in our Facebook group. And if you like the video, click like and then follow us because it really helps us out. And come back next week or the week after or when we get to this to see what we can do.